writes, Cowie can't be serious with this electric autopilot stuff. They need to make an RXPX GP competitor. If you can't beat them on the water, you won't beat them in the sales department. Fast and sexy sales. You're wrong. You're wrong. And I'll tell you why you're wrong, because 54% of new vehicle sales are going to people. And what's the number one selling ski right now is the VX Cruiser HO.
There you go. Yeah, non-supercharged. Yeah.
Non-supercharged, mid-range three-seater.
Yeah.
And
across the three brands, Yamaha, Sea-Doo, Kawasaki, there are about 50 models, but only 10 of those are supercharged. So that tells you the majority of the audience. And look, I get it. There's a lot of enthusiasts watch this podcast, and a lot of enthusiasts are very passionate about this industry. And I'm not anti-supercharged at all, but I am pro having more people come into the sport, because the more skis all three brands can sell, the more the companies can invest in supercharged models, in special edition fishing models, or whatever else they can dream up.
All data that we have been given from corporate, Yamaha, Sea-Doo, and Cowie, they equate that the performance enthusiast, this is the high performance guy, this is the guy who wants the fastest thing, he's got to have the fastest thing so that he can show up all of his buddies, equate for less than 15% of total vehicle sales.
There you go.
Yeah. Yamaha was saying it's about 10%. This is about 2 or 3 years ago, but they said it was a total of about 10% of the high performance SVHO, GP guy who was setting his hair on fire. That it was 10%. Yep. So unfortunately, 10% is not enough to totally sway what they have to look for as far as market share and reaching a broader audience. Look, Joshua said it at the beginning of this podcast. Look at the response that Yamaha has received with the Jetfish, and how it's competitive to Sea-Doo. And look, it's enough to drive Kawasaki to do it. And all of us here might never go fishing on a jet ski ever in their lives, but it doesn't matter, because there's a percentage of people who do. Yeah. You look at the top 5 selling watercraft. Number 1, VX Cruiser HO. Number 2, number 2 or 3, bouncing between, was the Trix.
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, it's the Trix.
Yeah. It's the same here until recently. The Trix was number 1 for Sea-Doo. I think it's now the GTR 230. But again, without those skis for the everyday person, the companies wouldn't have the money to invest in niche performance models. So it's a bit like, sure, you've got the Sea-Doo RXPX 325 as the halo vehicle for that brand, but that's not paying for their lunch. What pays the bills are all those Sea-Doo Sparks, the Trixes, the Fish Pros, all those skis. That's what pays the bills.
Ages ago, when I first got hired at Hot Rod Magazine, 24 years old, 25 years old, I had an old sales guy, old boy, been around for a long, long time. He walks up to me and he says, "Son, the Corvette gets you in the dealership, but you drive home in a minivan."
That's it.
All right. And that's the reality. I mean, you call up Dave Bamdis over at Riva, and you see how many tire kickers come in and say they oogle and awe over the GP or over the RXPX, and then they end up getting a GTI 170 SE because their wife likes the colors.
Yeah. In fact, there's a dealer, a very big Sea-Doo dealer in Sydney, because I said, because I spent a couple of days on the weekends in some dealerships here just to see what consumers are asking, so I could better service their inquiries on the website and get an understanding for what people want to know. But one guy was just really blunt about it. He just asked them what's their favorite color, and then finds a ski that color. He even sold a ski that matched the color of the customer's car. So that's true. It was an Explorer, a pair of Explorer Pros, believe it or not. And most customers do put more thought into it, but it's not a bad icebreaker. For me, when someone's looking to buy, I just say, there's small, medium, and large at Yamaha and Sea-Doo. At Kawasaki, there's medium and large. And then you just got to decide, how fast you want to go. I don't think you need supercharger, unless you're a thrill seeker and a motocross stunt rider, looking for something to do on the weekends. And so then you just got to consider, what's the one that's most comfortable? Go and sit on a bunch of those and see what you like.
Well, I mean, all right, so Dana backed up. He's okay, but everything outsells Kawasaki every time. They have nothing compared to the VX, which is GP based. Kawasaki's major problem is it has a garbage dealer network, and it doesn't have. Oh yeah, their dealer network is minuscule, and
they're small here, but they've got some really good representation in Australia in the markets. Yeah.
Oh, certainly. Yeah. I mean, you look at K-Speed, Brisbane and Brisbane Kawasaki and those guys. Yeah. State-wise, they do not have motivated area and regional reps. They everything that I have heard has been really, really negative from dealers. This is dealers talking to me. Sure. And they're like, oh yeah, like I never hear from my rep unless it's time to buy product. Yeah. And they're like, oh, really? And it's like, yeah, he's not sending me promotions. They're not sending me incentives. They're not, spurring me with anything. It is, I mean, there was a guy on the East Coast, you would have thought he was Father Time. He was old as dirt, and he waddled into dealerships and didn't even know what was going on, didn't know what product that he was even trying to sell them. I've heard horror stories.
Do you think sorry, go on.
Well, I'm just piling. Go ahead.
Well, I think it's a byproduct of when your market share has shrunk to 5%. So only 5 people out of 100 are buying a Kawasaki today at the moment, and I think that is very frustrating as a dealer. And you want Kawasaki to do more. So it is very hard to be motivated when you've got a 5% chance of selling a ski to someone who's in the market. But that's why these patents, although they're as thick as an encyclopedia and they're boring to the naked eye, it really does show. I hope anyone who's interested in a Kawasaki or any ski for that matter, and certainly if you're an existing Kawasaki dealer, I hope that does give them some renewed confidence to hang in there, keep those spanners turning, keep the workshop getting a cash flow through the business, because the cavalry is coming. They've got 2 models of Ultra, like you said in your introduction. There's 2 Ultra 160s now. There was previous only 1. They're bringing new features. They've got the newest top deck in the market today. They've got the Angler coming in 12 months or so. And clearly by these patents, there's going to be even more technology. Now, I know some people aren't into the gadgets, and some people think, hey, you should just be using your eyes and paying proper attention and don't fall off. But yeah, if 1 in 2 people walking into a Watercraft showroom are new to the sport, then that tells you that the industry does start need to look at this. The one thing that's long overdue, and we're getting a little off topic here, but I just wish, and I can't understand actually, why Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are not somehow embedded in all 3 screens, Sea-Doo, Yamaha, Kawasaki, and don't even change the name. Call it Apple CarPlay. Who cares? Sure, it's not a car, but we all know what it is because most modern cars now have that tech. How good would it be to be sitting at home, planning your route for the next day, having a look at the weather maps, having a look at your Navionics or whatever mapping system you use. You go down to your craft at the boat ramp the next day, plug it in or connect to it wirelessly or via Bluetooth, and all your favorite apps are there with your map ready to go. That is so much easier than sitting in your workshop or your shed, trying to get a signal, trying to pair your Garmin maps and all this nonsense. So I think
I agree.
I'd love them to put some energy into that.
Well, it's funny because I get the impression, and and this is putting words in their mouth, and that isn't fair, but it seems like they're trying to reinvent the wheel. Yamaha's trying to have their own interface. Sea-Doo's doing it with BRP Go, and everyone's trying to invent their own interface. And for what purpose? Yeah. For headaches and for massive investment and all this overhead. And the reality is, it's like, listen, if we're going to have these features, if we're going to have this level of connectivity, what's it take to just get Apple CarPlay?
Yeah, or Android. Do you know, I just had a thought while you were speaking then. If Yamaha, Sea-Doo, and Cowie are not going to do it, Why doesn't Garmin do it? Imagine, hey, we've got this new whiz-bang Garmin touchscreen. By the way, it's Apple CarPlay and Android Auto capable, and it's a touchscreen, so it'll look just like Apple CarPlay in your vehicle, but it's on your. I mean, Garmin would sell more units if you could offer that option, and then every manufacturer can have at it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Hey guys, thanks for hanging out. This clip was taken from our weekly podcast that we record here every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to watch the whole video, you can go to the Watercraft Journal's YouTube channel, go to playlists, and then click on live sessions. You're going to see it there. Otherwise, go ahead and leave a like, a comment, and definitely subscribe to the channel. It helps us grow. And again, thanks again for watching our videos, and we hope to see you soon.